Tales from the Darkside is a 1990 horror anthology movie starring John Harrison, starring Deborah Harry, Christian Slater, David Johansen, William Hickey, James Remere, and Ray Day John. And so it is based off of the anthology series Tales from the Darkside. Now, I recently just saw this movie, and I was thoroughly surprised and truly enjoyed every second of this fucking thing. Now, I love anthology horror movies to begin with. There's like some really good ones, and then there's some like really schlacky ones. But I, growing up, especially in high school, huge Tales from the Crypt fan. I like it just amazed me because it's like adult Goosebumps. That was my reference point, was Goosebumps. I'm like, oh man, this is adult Goosebumps. There's gore, swearing, the guest stars are awesome. Like, this is really cool. So I never really knew, or I knew of Tales from the Dark Side, but I never watched it. So, like scrolling through Amazon, found it on DVD for $5. I'm like, bam, sure. Heard some decent things about it. And I knew it was an anthology series. And I know this was originally supposed to be Creepshow 3. Because they had all these ideas, but they just kind of rolled them over to be Creepshow, or to be Tales from the Dark Side. Because George A. Romero had had certain stories he wanted to do with this. And so I really liked it. And it's, so you have like the main plot is this witch that's having this feast. So she has this kid and she's gonna cook him. And he's reading from Tales from the Dark Side, and he's telling her all these stories. And so like each story is what the kid's telling the witch to buy himself time. So right off the bat, I like that. And the witch is played by Deborah Harry, and I'm like, why does she look so familiar? I'm like, God damn, she's like absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I'm like, why the hell do I know her? So I Wikipedia'd her, and she's a lead singer of Blondie. So I'm like, holy shit. And then I'm like, I guess one way or another, she got a kid. And so Stephen King wrote some of the stories, and the first one is Lot 249, which is based on a Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story. And it is about Steve Buscemi buys this mummy, and Christian Slater's his upstairs neighbor. And so Christian Slater's sister, Julianne Moore, frames Steve Buscemi of stealing something so her boyfriend can get a scholarship he was supposed to have. And so so Steve Buscemi resurrects this mummy with this spell, and the mummy's taking out the revenge. And kills the boyfriend, and then Julianne Moore, then Christian Slater's like, okay, leave and never come back. And he burns the scroll, which turns out he burned the wrong scroll. The mummy dies, but Steve Buscemi resurrects the other two. That's how the first tale ends. So right off the bat, I'm like, well, this opened like really strong with like this first tale. Oh, and spoilers galore in this. This movie's highly recommended. Solid 5 out of 5. Like the first one is just, it's really cool, and you get like some really slashery, gory kills. A lot of fun. The second one's Hellcat. So William Hickley plays this old pharmaceutical company who hires this hitman to kill this black cat that killed his sister, her best friend, and his housekeeper. And he's like, the cat wants to kill me. So the hitman's going around, and it's kind of like shenanigan-y funny. He's trying to kill this cat, but he can't. Till finally the cat kills him, and then kills William Higley. Because you find out, for his pharmaceutical company, all the test trials of his drugs were in cats, and he's like 5,000 cats or something like that were killed. Now the final one, which is my absolute favorite, and with Hellcat I won't spoil how the cat kills the hitman, because you got to see it to believe it. The final one, which is my favorite, shout out to James Remere, who almost deserves like an Oscar nomination for his uh, portrayal in this. But James Remere is such an underrated actor to begin with, and it's like someone who just deserves a lot more work than he gets. He's fantastic in this. So he's a down on his luck artist and sculptor and painter, and he just can't catch a break. So he's at the bar. Uh, his agent just drops him, and so he's getting drunk, and him and the bar owner leave, and this gargoyle comes out of nowhere, kills the fucking bar owner, and runs up to him, and he goes, "Do you promise to never say what you saw?" And James Reed's like, "Oh fuck, sure, sure, I promise, I promise." And then he's like, "Then cross your heart," and he slashes him, and then the gargoyle disappears, and then he's running for his life, and then he bumps into this girl, and they get together, and he's just racked with guilt because he can never say what he saw. Like, he made a promise to this gargoyle, and it's slowly eating away at him, but then, so he meets the girl of his dreams, becomes a super, like, she has a contact that's just major art dealer, so he becomes super successful, and then it goes 10 years later, and he has a family. He's got a daughter and a son, happily married, and then he just finally just breaks down and he tells her what he saw. And she goes, "Why did you tell me this?" He goes, "Because I love you. You're the love of my life." And she looks at him and she goes, "You made a promise." And spoilers, she turns into the gargoyle, kills him, takes the kids, and turns back into the statue. I'm like, holy fucking shit. This is like some deep Edgar Allan Poe type shit that just happened right here. This is amazing. And then the kid, so then it goes back to the kid in the cage, and he tricks her and ends up killing the witch, and then he goes, "Don't you love happy endings?" So yeah, this is solid 5 out of 5. Go see it.